Strumm joins us from the beautiful city of Las Vegas, the former Pat general manager and head coach, worked many years in the NHL, still works with NHL folks on scouting, and is an inductee of the Regina Sports Hall of Fame. I was there when Bob was inducted, and it was an outstanding evening with Bob and many of his former players. Bob, Darryl Rummel from CTV is joining me as well. And I guess let's start off with something that's very dear to your heart, the Regina Pats. And the Pats selected the best goalie in Slovakia in the import draft, selected by the current Pat general manager, Dale Durkach. And Bob, you went to Manitoba one day and you talked to Dale Durkach, I think, in his kitchen. You were the only guy that believed in him because he was so small. Boy, did you turn out to be right, as the prolific scorer that he was both with the Pats and in Europe. So how do you feel now that he's got your old job, the Pats general manager?
Well, two things. My visit to Winnipeg started a lifelong friendship, which is as strong today as it's ever been. I talked to Dale. He's so excited about sitting in the chair that I used to sit in a long time ago.
Yeah.
And secondly, it's great for the Pats. Dale is a sharp guy. Funny how things go full circle, eh? You know, he was such a star as a player, and now he's back wearing the hat. So, you know, I couldn't be more excited for him and for the Pats and for the fans. And let's LFG Pats.
Bob, it's 29 degrees or so here in Regina, Saskatchewan. What are you facing in Las Vegas right now?
I don't know. Once it gets over 100, I don't check the temperature. So.
That's what I say about Don when it comes to be his birthday.
The good thing about that, when the temperature gets over 100, and I decide to golf anyway, I can sometimes beat the temperature.
Bob, why did you believe in Dale so much?
Energy. You know, I saw myself in him. I mean, I didn't play long as a kid, but my passion for the game was always there. It's still there today. I mean, so, you know, I just that was the first thing I noticed. And then, of course, the ability and size was never a factor with me. After I left Regina, we had Ray Whitney in Spokane, who turned out to be one of the great little players as well. And then I came to Vegas and signed a guy named Patrice Lefebvre, who was the best player in the league at 5'7", 8'6", whatever he was. So I'm not very big myself, and I guess I'm just a guy that gives the talented little guys a chance to play.
Proving good things come in small packages sometimes. You got to like that.
That's right. Now, Bob, being right in Vegas, probably the biggest deal of the last few days in the NHL was Mitch Marner going to Vegas, 8 years, $96 million. It's a mind-boggling money now as it continues to escalate, and I'm talking about NHL salaries. What did you think about both the signing of Marner and also the sad news of Peter Angelo having to retire?
Well, it's a big name city. That's what it is. I mean, I think Marner arriving on the Strip is the biggest thing since Elvis got here, for Christ's sake. You know?
That's right.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Well, you're making a hell of a lot more than Elvis did.
Sure did.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And Peter Angelo, Petro, it's too bad with Peter Angelo. I mean, he's been one of my favorites even before he got here to Vegas. But you could tell he was laboring and struggling at the end of the season. He came back. He played in the playoffs, but wasn't himself. And I'm not surprised that he's going to take some time off. I think he's indicating that he might be retiring, but it'll be interesting to see if he has successful surgery, and he might be able to play again. That's for down the road. But no, that's sad. Very, very sad. Terrific guy, terrific family guy, and terrific hockey player. So I think he was actually looking forward to playing in the Olympics next year in Italy, and that's out the window. So I feel badly for him. But, Kelly McCrimmon, the magician, he'll figure it out. I was looking at their lines yesterday.
Yeah.
They got a pretty good. I don't know. It might be Vegas and Florida in the final again.
Yeah.
Who's going to beat those two teams? Edmonton's right there. They didn't get. They were probably. I thought they had a better team this year, but were probably farther away. Lost in 6 instead of 7. So I don't know. I mean, can both those teams win their conferences? Florida 4 years in a row and Edmonton 3 years in a row. I don't know. It's a very competitive league, a lot of parity, and it'll be interesting to see. I've just been following they're up to about 185 transactions. That's an average of about 6 per team. I mean, guys are on the trampoline, aren't they? They're just jumping and jumping and jumping.
Now, the Oilers lost Corey Perry, Connor Brown, John Klingberg, Evander Kane, and very difficult, and they couldn't do it, upgraded goalie. They got Magnupani, though, who's a pretty good little player up. Do you think the Oilers can still do it next year, or do they just not have a goalie, Bob? Because they're ping-ponging back and forth their goalies, and I've never seen a team win the Stanley Cup doing that.
No, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I'm not blaming it all on the goaltending, but certainly they're more of a high-end team, not a 20 for 20 team, and so I don't know how their depth gets any better. I mean, you can go out and sign all the guys you want, but it still comes down to the 4, 5, 6 guys that they've got. Bouchard, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. Hyman, they missed Hyman in the playoffs. They really did. He's a top end player / goal scorer. So, but I don't know. I mean, the West is always very competitive, and I know that Kelly's sitting in his chair in the office right now, thinking about getting back at the Oilers. They beat them in 5 in the spring there, so they weren't very happy about that.
Bob Strumm with us, Regina Pat's coaching legend. I'm looking at the 1984-85 roster when Bob coached the team to a 43-28 1-0 record. And on the roster, I see Stu Grimson, 71 games, 24 goals, 32 assists. Everybody, Bob, that I've ever come across has a great Stu Grimson story. Do you have one too?
I got a couple that I can't tell.
Okay, let me rephrase. Do you have a Stu Grimson story that you can tell?
Yeah.
Well, he just, I don't know whether I can explain it enough, but I stay in touch with Grimmer, one of my all-time faves. I've got many of them. But he just had a birthday. I think it might have been, would it have been his 60th birthday?
Pretty close. Pretty close.
And anyway, my name, they were playing some TikTok game at his birthday dinner. I guess there's a game in TikTok where you mention somebody's name. And he sent me the video of it, and somebody at the table said Bob Strumm all of a sudden. and Grimmer just freaked out. Like he thought I was going to be there. And I said, Grimmer, if you had invited me, I'd have been there. So yeah, but the best Grimson story goes way back. Glenn Dirk, my head guy, my head scout, one of my best friends, rest in peace. Glenn passed away last summer, and he lived in Kamloops, and he was driving by a movie theater, and there was a big scuffle in front of the theater, and some big stud was kicking the bones out of somebody else, and he stopped his car, and when it was all over, he grabbed the kid and asked him what his name was, and he said, "Can you skate?" He said, "What do you mean, can I skate? I play for the Kamloops Midget B team. Of course I can skate." And Glenn said, "Well, I got news for you. You're coming to the Regina Pats training camp."
Wow. That's like Fulton Reed Mighty Ducks lore right there.
That's it.
Right?
That's a true story.
Oh, boy.
Amazing. Amazing.
What a career! What a guy! He went back. He had his law degree, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
After he was done, he went.
Yeah,
went
brilliant
back.
guy.
So but he was one tough hombre. He when he came to camp, we were going to keep him, and his dad was big man, RCMP officer, and he said to me, changing the conversation a little bit, he said, "I know what plans you got for my son, and he's not going to be that. So I'm taking him home." So in the car they get, and thank God for human nature, they stopped at Medicine Hat because I think Stu's dad had to use the latrine. And he was in there for a while, and Stu got on the payphone, called me collect, and said, "Mr. Strumm, don't give my job away. I'll be back."
Oh,
incredible!
Whoa,
I told you, Don. Everybody's got a Stu story, and that's fantastic.
Well, those are the two that I remember. I mean, there's others.
I want to hear the 2 or 3 that you can't tell us. We'll do that off the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. There was. There's one that was hilarious that Bobby Lowe's tells that I can't tell.
Fair enough.
I want to go back just quickly to the NHL here, Bob. And you mentioned, who knows, maybe Florida and Vegas will be in the Stanley Cup final next year. And, of course, both states, Nevada and Florida, no taxes, which is a huge advantage for those teams. And we're going to see if the NHL is going to try to make it a little more fair. What do you think about that?
Well, both Nevada, I don't pay any tax here either. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not making near as much as I used to, but no, I mean, you know what? I think Bill Zito, the GM of Florida, said it best. Like, we're the only team that's ever won the Stanley Cup. Like, won a couple, but St. Louis, Washington, the parity in the league is such that. I guess it's an issue because they're winning. Tampa and Florida won what? And Vegas won what? 5 of the last 7 Stanley Cups. So maybe it's an issue, but I think it's more about culture. Yeah. I mean, Bennett and Ekblad for sure took a home discount to stay, and Marchand got his spread out over 6 years. I don't know if he'll play when he's 42, but players want to, and same here. Players want to play here. You know what? This is a funny story. When I was in high school in Saskatoon, I was a big boxing fan, big Muhammad Ali fan, and that's how old I am. But I said to my buddies one day, I said, you know what? I just want to go to Vegas one time to see a big fight. So in 1993, I came one time and never left.
Well, that's one way to do it. That's one way to do it.
Not a bad idea. What about?
That's how you do it.
But Don, the commissioner of the National Hockey.
It's a one-timer for life, boys. That's what it's called.
Fair enough. The commissioner of the National Hockey League said it wasn't a problem up until they started winning. So I don't think there's any plans to just do your best, sign your players, and make it a place you want to go, like Bob says.
Well, here's an interesting.
I think the one thing they're talking about addressing is the cap for the playoffs. I think that's an issue that that Vegas did it with Stone, and Tampa did it with Kucherov, and Florida did it with Tkachuk, and oops, gee whiz, he's ready to. Oh gosh, he's ready.
Imagine that! Yeah, he's healed.
Gosh,
how miraculous!
He's ready to play. So, yeah, I think that's the one issue that might be on the board come playoffs. To have some sort of cap in the playoffs.
Now, just going back to these contracts that have been flying around lately, Bob, at 37 years of age, Brad Marchand of the Florida Panthers gets a 6-year deal. I think it's a $5.25 million cap hit. The contract will take him right to the age of 43. So is it just a sort of what's to come where rich owners, I mean, Brad Marchand's not going to be playing very good hockey at 43. Is this a point where just the rich owners are just going to blow off? They can afford to just blow off the last 2-3 years of a contract and just keep rolling?
Well, there are different scenarios. I mean, maybe they'll buy him out. Maybe they'll, I don't know. But he's the type of guy that might play forever. But it's just, it's funny. I mean, everybody's on a budget, some higher than others, but there is a cap. So, if you watch Florida play, and I don't know how many games you get up there, but 4 or 5 years ago, there were so many empty seats in the lower bowl that they should have put mannequins in them. Seriously. And now, holy mackerel, you can't get a ticket. See, winning does funny things. If we came to Regina, the Agrodome was, there were pigeons flying around the Agrodome.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. We started to win. Guess what? For 6-7 years, you couldn't get a seat. That's a little bit of an exaggeration because, we were, until the Riders were done, hey, go Riders, 4-0, boys. Once a Rider, always a Rider. But you know what? It's all about winning. It's all about performance. Now, if the state tax helps a little bit in that regard, tough luck. But it's all about winning, and people love to follow winners. And it's amazing how popular you get when your team's winning. I mean, I came to Vegas here in '93, and we had an expansion team, but Strummer had some great contacts in the business, and we were independent. We were the only independent team. We weren't affiliated with anybody. I didn't win any popularity contests, but we put a team together in 3 months that won the regular season, our first year.
Well,
and he was on weekends, boys. People say Vegas. On weekends we were playing in a basketball arena and had 9,000 or 10,000 people at the games.
That's why you're legendary. That's why you were easily one of the greatest pad general managers of all time.
And discovered a legend in Dale Durkach who's going to bring more fans back into that building,
right.
watching guys like Liam Pugh and Maddox Schultz from right here in Regina.
That's right, yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Bob, for joining us. We really appreciate your insight and, above all, your humor.